Hello friends, welcome to the second part of the 9th unit of this wonderful course that we are doing together, and that is two sources of knowledge, part B. But before we proceed with today's session, let's have a quick recap of what we discussed in the last session. As you remember, we discussed about what have been the sources of knowledge in the past that have contributed to the advancement of civilization over centuries. We also discussed about what have been the contributions of religion to development of mathematics, of physics, of social progress, medicines, and other things. So we discussed that two sources of knowledge have been both science and religion, as essentially the definition of both of them in real sense is very similar, because both of them talk about the essential relationships emanating from the realities of things. One, of course, in the context of the physical world, material world, and one in the context of non-physical or spiritual world. So definitely, these laws of universe, the essential relationships, remain the same in either case. So they are basically in harmony, science and religion, and how we use them in our day-to-day life is, of course, up to us to make sure that they both are used hand in hand in harmony. Now, let's reflect a little bit about what we are going to discuss today. So I like to put 2 points to you. First is that there have been several instances in the past when civilizations have developed because of harmonious interaction between science and religion, as just now I said. And then, can dialogue between science and religion contribute to one of the greatest challenges of us today, and that is humanity's development? So, how far development can be enhanced, development thoughts can be changed, the approaches can be modified if we bring in a constant dialogue between these two sources of knowledge in the context of development. Now friends, the progress of medical science and healthcare is a field that has been significantly influenced by religion. Caring for the sick, for example, the blind, the lame, deaf, mentally ill, and lepers were the concerns of innumerable charity institutions and hospitals that were inspired by religious teachings. Not in the past, but even today also. Some of these hospitals included skill development centers so that the patients could learn new traits during their healing process, and they could stand on their own feet once they are out of those healthcare centers. In addition, the medical sciences, including herbal and traditional medicines, have grown significantly due to religious injunctions. Now, please discuss with your learning partner and give more examples about which you know. You'll have 3 minutes time for this exercise. I'm happy that in this session, I have two of my colleagues, Mrs. Sally Dubash and Mr. Rajan Sawant. Mr. Sawant, can I request you to share your thoughts about this question?
Yes, one of the medical sciences which is rooted in the ancient Indian history and culture is Ayurveda. Ayurvedic preparations are typically based on complex herbal compounds, minerals, and metal substances. And this is perhaps under the influence of earlier, or we can say early Indian alchemy and Rasa Shastra. Ancient Ayurveda texts also taught surgical techniques, including kidney stone extractions, sutures, and the extraction of foreign objects.
Oh, that's very interesting. So it was not only about oral medicines, but also about cutting and doing serious, surgeries.
Yes, it was about invasive treatment, which included surgeries of different kinds.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, standing for human rights is in fact another important contribution in the past that has been influenced by religious teachings, and they were practiced in ancient civilizations. For example, Cyrus the Great, that you mentioned about it a few minutes ago, promoted religious freedom, promoted equality of the human rights throughout his civilization, no matter to which ethnic group one belonged. In the same manner, inhuman practices that were prevailing in Europe or Asia were opposed by religious institutions that promoted liberty, sanctity of human life, and abolition of slavery. Examples to this effect, I can say, is, for example, laying emphasis on marriage and family stability, which even today is a big challenge in many parts of the world. The rights of wife and husband, parents and children, all these rights have been upheld by the teachings of the faiths throughout centuries. Now, please again discuss with each other, learning partners, and write specific examples related to this particular point of the inhuman practices that were stopped by religions, or the human right practices that were promoted by religions. 4 minutes time. Okay, now Mrs. Saili, may I request you to throw some light on this point, please?
Yes, certainly. Actually, when we look at different religions and different faiths all over the world, all the aspects that you have mentioned right now can be reflected. We can see actually that the reflection of all these aspects in certain, certain systems that they have created.
Okay.
So first of all, looking at one example is the Hindu system of ashrama, which used to be there, the religious system, where they said that 4 stages of a person's life. So which are the student life, which is brahmacharya, then householder, which is grahastha ashram, then vanaprastha ashram, that is the going to the forest, and sannyasa, that is the last stage. So all these stages explain very beautifully the duties of a person when, as a student, what the duties are towards your parents, towards your grandparents, towards your guru. Then once you get into the grahastha ashram, then as husband and wife, how you're supposed to stay, and your duties towards your children and towards the society. And of course, vanaprastha ashram, wherein you're going towards the retirement, and sannyas ashram is the last stage of your life, where you're supposed to be away from all the materialistic attachments and devote yourself to the last days of your life. So this kind of a system was there. Another interesting system we can see in Islam, which says that, which spoke about anti-slavery actually. So the Prophet Muhammad has declared, it has been written in one of the historical article actually, which I was just going through. And he declared that there are 3 categories of people against whom I shall myself be a plaintiff on the day of judgment.
Oh my God.
So if there is a day of judgment, he will be against 3 kind of people. So what are these those people? Of these 3, one is who enslaves a free man.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow.
The second one is then sells him, and the third one is eats this money. So after selling whatever money has come, if he uses that money, then I will be against this person.
Means absolutely a ban on
It
trade.
is absolutely banned on slavery.
Okay.
Then a few other examples we can find in Christianity also. So Christian abolitionism took root in the 17th century. So there are historical evidences that say that in England, prominent Anglicans joined forces with Quakers, Baptists, Methodists, and other faith groups to form the world's first anti-slavery movement. So this was such a big thing to happen at that particular time. And together they built a moral conscience to ban the transatlantic slave trade, which was very common at that time. and then
Yes.
outlaw slavery itself throughout the British Empire. So this was a very brave move, courageous move actually, which the religious, some of the religious heads came together and they have taken it. Another example we find in Baha'i faith. The Baha'i sacred writings prohibit slavery completely. And the statement is also very straightforward. It says that it is forbidden you to trade in slaves, be they men or women. It is not for him who is himself a servant to buy another of God's servant.
Oh.
So beautifully it is stated actually, and this had been prohibited in his holy tablet. So it is completely prohibited in particular faith. Another faith that we can look at is Zoroastrian theology. That is another example that we can see.
Right.
Includes foremost the importance of following the threefold path of Asha, revolving around good thoughts, good deeds, and good words. And there is also a heavy emphasis on spreading happiness, mostly through charity, and respecting the spiritual quality and duty of both men and women. So all the aspects actually that we discussed in that earlier paragraph, they can be seen in all these different faiths and religions.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
sir.
Well, this brings us to the end of this session, and I thank Mrs. Savant, I thank Mrs.
Thank you,
Sally for your kind contributions. So we look forward to the next session. Thank you very much.